Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm in an amazing mood because merely minutes ago, Beyonce just surprise released a new song, My House, and I was sitting down in this chair literally 44 minutes ago to film this video, and she posted it. It's currently 5:45 in the morning, and she put I was going to film this at like 5 a.m. I have been listening to that song on repeat for the last 45 minutes. Oh my God, Beyonce, I love you so much. Anyway, I hope you're all doing really well. So today I'm very intrigued as to what this video is going to be, because if you watched my last video, I did a little deep dive very loosely into Gypsy Rose, where we watched kind of like a little documentary about the full situation between Gypsy Rose, her boyfriend, and Dee Dee, her mother. It's something that I'm very fascinated by. It's also something that surprisingly I've only discovered recently, and the reason that it has came up in my mind is because Gypsy Rose is allegedly being released from jail in a matter of weeks. And did you just hear that noise that my throat made? What was that? That made me feel so uncomfortable. It went, okay. Whatever, throat, whatever you're trying to tell me down there. So she is planning on being released 7 years into her 10-year sentence. Now, as I said, I am very pro Gypsy Rose. I am on her team completely. I don't even think that she should have had to have gone to prison for any amount of years. I feel that the life she was living under Dee Dee was already a prison, and I think to have her childhood stripped from her and then her adulthood, what I think should have happened is the boyfriend should have gotten lifetime in prison, because again, I'm against the boyfriend. I think he was just waiting for an excuse to do that to someone. I think that Gypsy Rose should instead have had to have done like mandatory couple years of like intense deep therapy or something like that. I think it's very unfair and a fail of the system what happened to her entire life. But a lot of people were actually really interested in the video, which completely took me by surprise. And a lot of people were asking me to watch Dr. Phil interviews, do more deep dives. So thank you for caring enough about me deep diving into this, because I was going to do this anyway, so at least now we're just doing it together. Before we get into it, please go check out my second channel. I am posting new videos over there every single day. It'll be linked down below for classics like this one, where I'm basically just telling you all about the problems in my life. It'll be linked down below. Very cozy. Look at this. You don't get cozy like this anywhere else except for my second channel. We're getting really close to 60,000 subscribers over there, so if you want to go over and join, it'll be linked down below. I appreciate that. No, I tried watching the Dr. Phil things, but damn, he was immediately striking me down. So I'm gonna try figure that one out. Instead, what I decided is we should go through and watch the trial. Now, I have fast forwarded to when Gypsy Rose actually takes the stand. If people want me to go from the start, we can. There's a part 1 and part 2, so we'll do part 1 now and then part 2 in a different video of Gypsy Rose taking the stand. But I'm very fascinated about this, and if you are too, thank God you're here. So let's get into it. This is Dee Dee Blanchard murder trial, day 3, part 1, which is Gypsy Rose taking the stand. Let's do it.
Please be seated. All right, are we ready for your witnesses?
Yes, and their client.
All right, let's get Mr. Godejohn.
Okay, there's the boyfriend. There's the boyfriend.
They call it the State versus Godejohn matter. Parties are all present. Jury's not present. So I understand that you wish to call Miss Blanchard as your first witness.
Yes, Judge, we would call Gypsy Blanchard to witness stand.
All right, and as agreed, you're going to have her seated
Yes, before the jury.
before the jury. And we'll go through, hopefully we'll be able to do it without a recess, but if not, we'll take a recess, but they won't see her walking because she's in restraints.
Okay.
So give Miss Blanchard in.
This is very interesting. So the boyfriend called Gypsy Rose to testify on his behalf, apparently, but the jury took her side instead of his side, which is why she got the 10-year sentence and he got the lifetime.
And her attorney is here. I note that.
Cameraman, pick a fucking angle. Fuck me.
Yeah, Miss Blanchard, if you just ever come out here.
This is all so formal for someone who was a victim. You know what I mean? I was about to say she's being treated like a criminal, but she literally is a criminal. She's in jail for 10 years. Well, 7 if she gets out in a couple weeks. Whereas this was a victim who was forced to have surgeries, forced fed medication, was beat by her mother if she walked without a wheelchair she didn't need or without a walker, was refused to allow to play with people her own age, was forced to the walls of her bedroom for her entire child. Like, this is a victim. There she is. Hence, no wheelchair, no walker. She can walk. Dee Dee.
Yeah, be careful on that step. And have a seat. There's water there for you. Isn't there? Here's a fresh bottle of water for you if you need it. Okay. All right. Get settled in.
I wonder how this feels for Gypsy Rose as well, to see the boyfriend opposite her. Like, this is a very, very, very uncomfortable setting. Well, obviously, it's a courthouse, but...
Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Agree?
Oh my god, look at the typer woman with her little bob. What's your name, B.O.B.? So they calling you Bob? That is a bob if I have ever seen one. Look at that. Look at the diagonal. Okay. Look, come on, give us a little. Give us a little. Come on, give us a little. Do you see her right there? Look at that diagonal slant. Okay. All right. Betty Boop.
All rise.
Okay, don't submit anymore. Please. Zoom out a little bit. Fuck me.
Please be seated.
Wait, if anyone understands the legal system, what was that little performance for? Please stand. Please sit. We're already here. You know what I mean? What was that for? Did someone enter the room? The judge was here the entire time. Please stand. Please sit. Okay, thank you. Is there some deeper meaning to that?
Ready? Do you have a witness you wish to call?
Gypsy Blanchard, Judge.
Miss Blanchard, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Sir?
Please tell us your name.
Gypsy R. Blanchard.
What do you go by?
Gypsy.
Okay. Gypsy, could you speak up just a bit? I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Any better?
That chair won't move. If you can hold the microphone if you want to take it out. Just look, it looks straight out. There you go.
Is that better?
That's much better. How old are you?
27.
So 27 years old, and this was 2018. If we're to believe that this is the time period that this actually was. How are the captions on this? Because this audio is crazy.
Raised from Louisiana.
Where were you living in the summer of 2015, in June of 2015?
Springfield, Missouri.
Do you remember the address?
I don't remember now. I'm sorry.
How long had you lived at that address in Springfield?
About 7 years.
And prior to that, where did you live?
Slida, Louisiana.
And when did you move to Missouri?
In 2005.
And who did you move to Missouri with?
My mother,
And what was her name?
Claudina Blanchard.
Did she go by any other name?
Okay. If you're reading the captions, by the way, they're way off, but they're giving us every couple words. The audio on this, I mean, all that money the government takes and they can't even, get good microphones in these places. Fuck me.
So if I say you'll know who I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Do you know a Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, sir.
And when did you meet Nicholas Godejohn?
In October of 2012.
How did you meet him?
On an online Christian dating website.
Not the online Christian dating. So Gypsy and the boyfriend met in 2012 online Christian dating app.
Do you remember the name of that site?
ChristianDatingForFree.com.
ChristianDatingForFree.com. It's not the point, but oof.
How old were you when you met Nick?
About 21.
In June.
Okay, this is just further why I'm so team. This Bob in the front row. Sorry, that Bob is crazy. That is a crazy Bob. I respect it. This is just further why I'm very, very, very pro Gypsy Rose. So she was 21 years old when she met the boyfriend. So I assume around the time of what happened to your mother was when she was like 21 as well. I am currently 21, believe it or not. I know I literally look like a newborn fetus with such amazing glowing skin. As I look at my dull face with eye bags. And at 21 years old, if my mother or anyone had been force feeding me medication, literally hitting me with hangers whenever I refuse to use a wheelchair I don't need, refuses to let me leave the house, is forcing me to get surgeries I don't need, how much can someone take? And again, I've always said that I believe that if Dee Dee was still alive, that she would have eventually killed Gypsy Rose, because the only other option, like I said, was that Dee Dee would have been, people would have figured out the scam and Dee Dee would have been arrested for a very long time. So it was either Dee Dee gets arrested or she would have, killed Gypsy Rose. And then that would have fit with the narrative that Gypsy was so sick. It's so fucking twisted.
2015, what did you consider your relationship to Nick to be? What kind of relationship?
We were boyfriend, girlfriend.
And when did you become boyfriend and girlfriend?
In October of 2012.
When did you first meet Nick in person?
March of 2015.
So between October of 2012 and March of 2015, you hadn't actually met Nick in person?
That is correct.
What type of...
Okay, sorry. How is Gypsy Rose going to meet anyone, including a boyfriend, whenever she's refusing to be allowed to leave the house? You know what I mean? Obviously, yeah, if you're, becoming online dating and, you haven't met and shit, but, this person's not allowed to leave the house or have an identity.
What relationship did you have during that period of time?
Online relationship.
And by online, what do you mean?
Strictly communicating through Facebook.
Any other ways other than Facebook?
Instant text messaging, emails.
All by way of computer and cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Did you send videos to each other?
Yes, sir.
Prior to March of 15, when you indicated you met Mr. Godejohn for the first time in person, had your mother met him?
No, sir.
Did she know he existed?
No, sir.
Why is it she didn't know?
Because it was a secret relationship and my mother would never allow me to have a boyfriend.
Why not?
Because she controlled every aspect of my life.
Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you were not allowed to date?
Yes.
How many times do you think?
I don't remember.
Did you and your mother ever have any discussions about whether you were ever going to be able to date?
Yes, sir.
Did you and Nick talk about that?
We may have.
What did your mother say about your ability to date going forward?
She said that it would never happen, that she would never allow it.
So at like 21 years old, not only is she allowed to literally do nothing else, but she's now also being told that she's never allowed to date. And Dee Dee will never allow it.
What about marriage? Did you and Nick ever talk about marriage?
Yes.
Did you and your mother ever discuss whether or not you'd be able to get married someday?
Context clues. She just told you she wasn't allowed to date, but yeah, Dee Dee would sign off on getting fucking married.
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She said that she wouldn't allow it.
Context clues, please.
2015, were you in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did Nick know you were in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Why were you in a wheelchair in June of 2015?
Because my mother forced me to be in one.
Do you know why you were forced to be in a wheelchair?
No, sir. She just forced me to be in one.
And how long had you been in a wheelchair?
That's such a crazy answer. Did you know why you were in a wheelchair? No, I was just forced to be in one.
As of June of 2015.
Since probably I was about 8 years old.
So from like 8 years old to, oh my God. From like 8 years old until what, like 21, you're being forced to be in a wheelchair for no reason, and you know that you can walk. And she said on Dr. Phil, when she attempted to walk without the wheelchair, if Dee Dee didn't hit her, Dee Dee would try to catch her and be like, even though she wasn't going to fall, and be like, oh my God, you nearly fell. Like trying to gaslight her.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair and June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
When was that?
I always knew that I didn't need the wheelchair.
And how did you know that?
Because I could walk.
How did you know you didn't need a wheelchair? Her answer, because I could walk.
Did you and your mother obtain any kind of advantage by you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
What kind of advantage did you obtain?
Financial.
Saying like, what kind of advantages did Dee Dee get?
Attention, charity.
Financially mean money.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain money as a result of you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How did that work out? How did that happen?
Judge, I'm going to object to the relevance of that. There's been no connection that the defendant knew any of this.
Well,
I think that objection is super valid as well, because it's like Gypsy Rose was a child, so not only was she probably not seeing any of that money, how is the child supposed to understand that concept of money coming in and why it's coming in?
I'm assuming, Ms. Perry, you're going to tie this up.
Well, right now. Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to him about why you were required to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
I'll rule the objection.
Could you tell the jury why it is that you obtained money as a result of being in a wheelchair?
Because people felt sorry for me.
And they would do what?
And Judge, I'm just going to object to general relevance at this point.
I'll allow it for the time being. You may answer, ma'am.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Asked you why you obtained an advantage for being in a wheelchair. You said people gave you money. And I think my next question was, why did they give you money?
Because they felt sorry for me. They believed the lie. They believed the fraud.
When did you tell Nick about the wheelchair? That you being in a wheelchair?
I think maybe a month or so after we met.
When did you tell Nick that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
A year into our relationship.
So if your relationship began in October of 2012, it would have been sometime in 2013 that you first told him that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair.
That is correct.
Were you ill during this period of time?
No, sir.
That's crazy as well. Were you ill during this period of time? And she's saying no. But I wonder what the implication of being force-fed so many different kinds of medication. Literally, Gypsy Rose's teeth were falling out of her gums because she was taking, what was it, epilepsy medicine that she didn't need. So she was ill during this time, but it was because her mother was making her ill during this time.
Did you ever tell Nick that you were ill or that you had illnesses?
I told him that I had illnesses, yes, sir.
Did you ever tell him that you really weren't ill?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell him you really weren't ill?
The same time that I told him that I didn't need to be in the wheelchair.
What illnesses did you believe you had?
Cancer, muscular dystrophy.
Okay, so these are things that she believed that she did have. Cancer, muscular dystrophy. Fucking hell.
I needed glasses. I needed hearing aids. Seizure disorder. And I can't remember what else.
And when did you figure out that you weren't actually sick?
I started to piece things together when I was about 19 years old. Then I didn't understand the full extent of how healthy I was until after I got arrested.
So you
I didn't realize the full extent of how healthy I actually was until I got arrested. This is like another example of Gypsy Rose basically saying that when she was in prison, her life was better than the circumstances before. She's saying that she found out she was healthy because she was allowed that time in prison. How fucking awful is that for someone to say that is a better case? Being put into prison is a better case scenario than living with your mother. I mean, she basically was living in prison with her mother.
at the time, even as of June of 2015, you still believed you had some of the illnesses?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever run away?
Yes, sir.
When did you, and by run away I mean from your mother,
Yes, sir.
when did you run away?
In the spring of 2011.
Did you tell me?
2011, so an entire year before she even met the boyfriend, she was, trying to escape. And imagine how scary that is as well. And that's when Dee Dee would just turn, because the thought of someone seeing Gypsy running away and not in a wheelchair, it would have been exposed.
Nick about that?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell Nick about that?
I don't remember the exact time.
Was it before your mother's murder?
Yes.
Did you ever consider running away after that? After you ran away in 2011?
Yes, but I knew that it would end badly.
What happened when you ran away? Tell us about running away in 2011.
It was in the middle of the night, and I packed a small bag of stuff, and my mother was asleep, so I left the house, and I met up with one of my friends
And where did you go?
to first at Mercy Hospital in Springfield, and then to his house.
And at some point, did your mom figure out where you were?
Yes, sir.
And when was that?
4 hours later,
What happened when your mother figured out where you were?
she took me back home. She smashed my computer and my cell phone. She chained me to a bed for 2 weeks.
So Dee Dee brings her back and chains her to the bed and smashes all of her shit. This is what I'm saying. Dee Dee was eventually planning on killing Gypsy Rose. I will never, ever, ever excuse someone, doing what they did to Dee Dee. But Dee Dee was eventually going to do it to Gypsy Rose. If she wasn't going to get arrested or put away or something, this was going to happen to Gypsy Rose. You can never not make me team Gypsy Rose.
You ever tell Nick about all that?
Yes.
The only time you ran away?
Yes.
Did you receive any other physical abuse as a result of running away other than what you already told the jury?
Yes.
What other abuse?
hitting, punching, starvation.
Did you tell Nick everything that had happened between you and your mother during the course of your relationship with him?
Most, but not all.
All the stuff we've talked about is stuff you actually did tell him,
Yes.
and stuff he knew as of June of 2015.
Yes.
And when did you tell him these things? All at once or over a period of time?
Over a period of time.
Beginning at what point in the relationship?
He knew since day one that my mother never allowed me to date. But I don't remember exactly when I told him every single little detail that was going on in my home life.
But you did tell him everything you did tell him by the time of June of 2015.
Yes, sir.
I assume since you believed you to be sick, you met regularly with doctors.
Yes, sir.
There's something so bizarre about witnessing her talking very fluidly and honestly and truthfully, and everything she is saying is about being an abuse victim, and yet somehow she's the one in jail. Somehow Gypsy Rose is the one in jail. I'm aware the boyfriend is also in jail, but I'm like, somehow she's the one behind bars. Like, are we hearing everything she's saying, everything she's detailing, and she's the one that's in prison?
Did you also meet with social workers? Or do you remember that?
No, sir, I don't remember.
Why didn't you tell your doctors that you didn't really think you needed to be in a wheelchair?
Judge, I'll object to the relevance of that. That's outside the scope of the knowledge that the defendant would have.
Mr. Perry?
Judge, I think it is relevant. It goes to, it really goes to why this whole thing happened. The fact that, I've tried to explain it, but I really don't know we should explain it on the record.
Yeah. Can we go back into it?
I'm going to allow it for the time being. Let's not get too far afield here, Mr. Perry. Do you need the question repeated, please?
Yes, please.
If you'd repeat it, Mr.
I would be
Perry.
glad to. Why did you not tell doctors that you knew you could walk or you didn't believe yourself to be ill during the time that you were doing this?
I didn't think that anyone would believe me.
And here's the thing. If she had told the doctors she didn't need these things, and then the doctors don't believe her, she goes home, and then what happens to her? Does she die the next day? Like, her running away in the middle of the night and being gone for 4 hours means that she's chained to her bed for 2 weeks. Like, what happens if she tells the doctor and the doctors don't believe her, and then she has to go home at the end of it? Dee Dee would literally have killed her.
I thought they would eventually tell my mom, and that would make my home life even worse for me. I feared her more than I feared anyone else.
Where's your father during this time?
Louisiana.
Did you ever talk to your father while you were in Missouri?
It's a complicated answer.
Did you ever speak to him on the phone?
I did, but my mother was always present.
Did you ever tell him what was going on?
No, sir.
Because Dee Dee was always present. So the father had been told that Gypsy had all these things, and then he said that the next time he saw Gypsy Rose was walking into the courthouse and not needing a wheelchair, and that was the first time he realized that nothing was going on. Like,
Now, earlier you told us you met Nick for the first time in person in March of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where did you meet him in person?
A Springfield movie theater.
What movie?
Cinderella.
How is it you were able to meet with Nick in March of 2015?
I paid for his transportation, his lodging to get there.
Why did you pay for it?
I didn't think he'd have enough money.
And you say you met him at the Cinderella movie, Was your mother present?
Yes.
Did you and Nick talk that night?
Yes.
How did that work out?
It didn't go well at all. My mother hated him from the moment they met.
Did you guys watch this movie together?
Yes.
Did your relationship change in any way that day?
Yes.
How?
We got to see each other in person for the first time.
Did it become physical that night?
Yes.
And you know what I mean by physical, don't you?
Yes.
What do I mean?
We had sexual relations.
You know what I mean by physical? Yes. What do I mean by physical? Okay. I understand they need to ask these questions, but like, can we ask them in a better way? Were you physical that night? Yes. Do you know what I mean by physical? Yes. What do I mean by physical?
And where?
In the bathroom stall of the men's bathroom.
What was the point
Rough.
of you and Nick meeting up during the Cinderella movie? Were you guys trying to do something?
Yes.
What?
I was trying to introduce him to my mom so my mother would allow me to date.
And you said that didn't go well.
No, sir.
Now, where did Nick live?
In Wisconsin with his mother.
You know what I'm just thinking? Like, what is the impact that being forced in a wheelchair for a majority of your life have on your legs? You know what I mean? Like, if every single waking hour that she's with Dee Dee, she's forced into this wheelchair, that's more than just sitting. That's like, you know, having to go from bed to the wheelchair in being transported. And like, what does that do to your legs and your ability to walk? Was the end goal to make her so weak that she couldn't walk, or?
Did you and Nick ever talk about any disabilities he may have?
Yes.
What disabilities did you understand him to have?
Asperger's syndrome.
Did you even know what that was?
No, sir.
Now, you indicated that you paid for this trip to Missouri by Nick in 2015. What all did you pay for?
I paid for the Greyhound bus ticket. I paid for the hotel and for eating money.
And how did you pay for this? How did you get the money to Nick?
I stole the money from my mother and I sent it to him via the mail.
Gypsy, if you wouldn't mind speaking up just a bit.
Yes,
It's a little soft.
Sorry.
I think you said you put it in the mail?
Yes, sir.
In what form was the money?
Cash.
Do you know how much you sent him that time?
I don't know the exact amount. Probably about $800.
And how would you get the money how would you steal the money from your mother?
She kept it in a money pouch.
And think about the risk that's there for, like, we're seeing a very, very, very desperate person here, you know, using every opportunity to try get out of this or try live a life. Like, we're seeing her say that if she does the slightest thing, she gets beaten or chained to her bed. And here we're seeing her say, like, she was stealing money. Like, imagine what would have happened if Dee Dee knew she was stealing money for this specific reason to, you know, meet with the guy that Dee Dee wouldn't have approved. Like, everything Gypsy did was riskful, and Dee Dee got all the rewards from it. Like,
What were your feelings for Nick in the spring of 2015?
I loved him.
Was there a point in this relationship that you considered yourself, that is you and Nick, to be more than just boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes.
When was that?
We had plans to marry.
Any other plans for your future at that point?
We planned to have kids. Yes.
Did you do anything to prepare for having children with Nick?
Yes.
What'd you do?
I stole baby clothes and things for a child.
And how would you steal baby clothes?
I was in the wheelchair, so I would steal them from Walmart.
And where would your mother be when you did this?
Like, this is what we're hearing. Like, she's being asked, how were you preparing for having a baby? And her answer is, I was stealing baby clothes rather than anything else. You know what I mean? Look, we're very aware that's not, what you do to prepare for a baby in that kind of way. God, she was just failed by everyone. The boyfriend, her mom, the legal system, doctors.
She would have been in a different aisle or a different section of the store.
And was she aware of any of this?
No, sir.
At some point, you decided to kill your mother. Is that correct?
Yes.
When was that?
Thoughts of it started a year prior to the murder actually happening.
Whose idea was it to kill your mother?
Mine.
Why did you want to kill your mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes,
Who initially brought up killing your mother?
I did.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just such a level of honesty and truth from her. And I think that this is why the jury really, really, really liked her. And obviously her story shows her as a true victim. And I think people realized that Dee Dee needed to not be in her life in some way, maybe not that extreme, but I'm so glad the jury sided with her. I think with the jury, it can go either way. I'm so glad they sided with her. God, imagine being chosen for jury duty for this one. Fuck me.
Why not just tell somebody rather than kill your mother? Why was that not an option?
I truly didn't believe that nobody believed me.
How many times does Gypsy Rose have to say if she tried to speak out, she got abused, and then she didn't think anyone was going to believe her? She thought this was the only thing that could work. And I mean, it did, but...
My mother had legal documents in place saying that I was incompetent, and I thought that meant that if I went to anyone, the police, or told anyone, she would just have them convinced that I was making everything up.
At some point after you initially considered killing your mother, did you ever change your mind?
Yes.
Do you know when that was?
About 2 weeks before it happened.
Why did you change your mind and decide not to kill her?
I started having doubts, second thoughts.
Did you ever then change your mind back to the initial decision to kill her?
Yes.
Why did you change your mind back to killing her?
My mother and I got into an argument 2 days prior to the murder occurring. And Nick asked me, are we still doing this? Am I still, coming there to do this? Yes or no? And I said yes.
Who talked you into killing your mother?
I did. I talked him into it.
During the time you and Nick were together, did you ever engage in fantasies or role-playing or anything like that?
Yes.
Did you have names?
Yes.
Tell us about the names you utilized.
Ruby, Candy, Kitty, Bella, Demona.
Sorry, I count with hearing those names. But yeah, we were told from the boyfriend's testimony that they had these characters, and that the boyfriend said it was his good side and his evil side, and it was the evil side that killed Dee Dee. And Gypsy said that she had these sides as well that she would use to make herself feel better about what was actually happening and stuff. So this further proving that point, except this time now we know the fucking names.
Why did you have different alter egos?
I made them up because he told me that he had various alter egos. And so I created mine to fit the ones with his.
And who came up with your names?
I did.
And do they each represent a different type of person?
Yes.
Was this real?
It was fantasy.
Who is Demona?
She's a character that I came up with.
And what was the character?
She's half werewolf and half human.
Who is Kitty?
She's like a childlike girl.
Ruby?
She's my evil side.
And what about Candy?
She's more of the slutty side of me.
Did you also have wigs?
Yes,
And why did you have wigs?
to change the different hair colors of the characters, and because I didn't have any hair.
I was going to say, the reason as well, not only about the different characters, was that Dee Dee was forcefully shaving her head. Imagine that as well, knowing that you don't need to have your head shaved, but yet your head is constantly being shaved by your mother.
Time.
And why did you not have hair?
My mother would shave off my hair and tell people I had cancer.
Was any of this stuff non-consensual on your part? The personalities?
No,
Now you mentioned the idea to kill your mother came out about a year before it happened.
yes, sir.
And what was going on in your home life that made you reach the point where you did that or made that decision?
I was growing increasingly desperate to get out of my home life.
Did you tell Nick that?
Yes,
And what was your mom doing that caused you to be more desperate?
things were getting physically and more physically abusive. The hitting was more. The starving was more.
Now you mentioned you were in a wheelchair. Were you required to act any certain way when you were in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How was that?
She would have me stay very quiet and pretend like I couldn't walk.
Mr. Perry, can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, like... Sorry, I keep taking these moments, but I just... This is so much information, and it's so overwhelming, and it's like... I can't see how anyone isn't completely on the side of her. Clearly the jury were, but...
Can I sit for a second?
That Bob in the front row. Look at her moving around.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break. I don't know if you can smell. We'll just check out to see what it is.
What? We're going to take a little break? Do you smell that? We're going to take a little break to figure out what that is? What the fuck's going on in there? Okay. I like... I'm trying to like put my words into... I'm really trying to come up with... I think the more and more I dive into this, the more and more I think that something had to happen to Dee Dee. Which is like, I never think I would come to that conclusion, but like, there's only so much that one evil woman can do. Jesus Christ. Fuck me. Well, I really do hope Gypsy Rose gets released in a couple weeks because she really does fucking deserve to be free finally and live her life. A lot of people are saying she's married now. Is that true? We're going to dive into all that. This is only part 1. We still have part 2. I am going to love and leave you. I'm going to jump right into the next one. So I will see you in my next one. But dear Jesus, bye.